Hey guys, Scott back here again with a new beer dissection. Actually, it's a what is style today as well as a beer dissection video. The what is style is called Kolsch, okay? And the beer dissection is going to be the famous Gaffel Kolsch from Cologne or Cologne, Germany. First thing is, let me just talk just a little about this style of beer, Kolsch, first, and give you a few beer culture things from Germany. A Kolsch is going to be a very pale gold, straw-colored beer, highly attenuated, so it's going to be very crisp flavored beer. You're going to get aromas. Sometimes people get apple or pear kind of aromas, but you also get from some of the noble hops that are used, some spicy, floral, herbal kind of notes to it. It's going to have low to moderate bitterness. I think it's roughly, if I remember correctly, 18 to 30 IBUs, International Bitterness Units, so it's sitting somewhere a little bit around that Munich Helles Pilsner territory. And it's actually going to look a lot like that when you pour it into the glass. Again, very light body it should have. The flavors are going to be very similar. You may get some spicy herbal, floral hop character to it. So again, a beer, especially if you are used to drinking a lot of American pale lagers or certain Pilsner beers, you really enjoy this. It's going to have a lot of malt sweetness to it also from some of the Pilsner malt that they use. And they do use, again, remember, some German noble hops with that. But very easy drinking. Again, low to medium bodied at the very most. Alcohol percentage on this is usually somewhere around 4.5% to, I believe, 5.2%. So kind of a sessionable beer that shouldn't knock you out. Now, a little history about Kolsch. It's almost like an appellation like Champagne is in the Champagne Valley in France, and even some olive oils and wines in Italy. In Cologne, Germany, is where the appellation is, or Cologne. I may not be pronouncing it correctly for some of my German speakers, which is on the Rhine River Valley. Just north of it is Dusseldorf, alt beer, which I think I've done a video on alt beer before. That's kind of the appellation also. So the beer to be called a Kolsch has to be brewed in or within around the borders of Cologne, Germany on the Rhine River Valley. It is an ale, and back in the 1840s, roughly, when they were getting inundated with lager beers in Germany, the people of Cologne really wanted to, they liked their ales, basically. So they kind of try to make it so that it was almost like a bias against lager, so they'd have it there. So Cologne is where this style of beer really emanates from, Kolsch. You will see our local home brewers or our microbreweries will use the term Kolsch style. So again, when I pour into the glass, you'll see, but it's very easy drinking, herbal type of thing. Now, one interesting thing too is if you're in Cologne or Cologne and you're having this beer, they form them, and I'll try to have a pop over my shoulder. They serve it specifically in a glass called a Stange. Okay, it looks like strange without the R. Okay, and I'm going to be pouring it today in just a typical shaker pint, which you don't see me do that often on this. And they're roughly, I think it's about 200 milliliters, give or take 6-7 ounces of beer. So pretty small, and they have these big trays. And when you're in these bars in and around Cologne, they will keep serving you, and and how they keep track is they have your what do you call those? The coaster. Excuse me, the coaster. And when you finish one, they just come around and just give you another one. They don't even ask you. They just keep giving you another one. They put little ticks in the coaster that's in front of you. Now you keep drinking, and they keep drinking. They can catch up to you. But when you're done drinking, what you do is you take that coaster and you stick it on top of your glass, and to signify that you're done, not to serve you anymore. They kind of count up the little ticks, and they calculate, obviously, what you owe. So again, it's about 200 milliliters, roughly 6-7 ounces of beer, each one of these Stanges glasses. And it's a very straight, again, I'll try to pop on my shoulder, kind of straight-sided glass, not too, maybe a few inches, not a few inches, maybe like 6 to 7 inches tall. So again, that is the interesting beer culture to this style, which I love. And this is actually one of the styles, when I started studying beer for Cicerone, I really enjoy, because it's a very quaffable style, and you can have, you know, multiple ones without feeling like you're either bloated or too much alcohol. And like I said, these sit somewhere between 4.5 and a 5.2%. All right, so a little history on the what is of the style Kolsch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of open up my Gaffel Kolsch. This one's actually very fresh. Sometimes with imports, you'll be lucky if you get it about 4 to 6 months old. This one has the best buy of July, the end of July of 2023. I'm filming this in, you know, beginning of April, so, you know, reasonably fresh. This one's at 4.8%, the Gaffel Kolsch. Fru is another one, F-R-U-H is another classic style. So again, this is really typically only found in Cologne, Germany. And again, to compete with the lager beers. Again, I should say, this is an ale, so it's top fermenting yeast. Gives you a little bit more of that fruitiness, probably where you get that pear, apple on the aroma, and some of that sweetness. But they do lager it. And the difference is, when they're lagering means cold storage. So they brew it with ale yeast, but then they sit in cold storage for a period of time. It kind of keeps the flavor kind of crisp, sharp, less ester qualities, things like that. Lets a lot of the particulate drop a little bit more, and it conditions that way. So it's a lagered beer, even though it's not classified a lager. So I'm going to have to do a whole video on that, the difference between lagers as well as lagering. And I've homebrewed a Kolsch before, and they actually have specific yeast for it, for Kolsch. All right, so enough about that. What is style? Let's crack this bad boy open, and let me show you. Okay, so, all right, so again, what is style Kolsch and Gaffel Kolsch, the classic we have here. And I'm very lucky to have a fresh, my wife was really good at picking this out, and so I'm not expecting anything too bad with all flavors. So let's take a look at the head. You know, nice white to maybe a very light tan head, which is what you would expect. I'm pouring aggressively, so there's a lot more head there. I apologize, as usually, I have a clean glass. It may not be classically beer clean. There are some nucleation bubbles there. But you can see this is a straw of blonde beer. Looks like your typical Munich Helles, American lager, your international pale lagers like your Heinekens. Trust me, it's going to taste a lot better than those beers. Okay? But you get that nice light tan head, straw to gold color, and it should be crystal clear. So let me take a sniff of the aroma. Yeah, so you kind of get that sweet white bread malt, probably from the Pilsner or Turo malt that they're using. You know, I do get a little bit of a pear, light fruitiness to it from the ester quality of the yeast, as well as some of the hops. But there is a, you know, a spicy floral herbal hop aroma. Now, in this one in particular, they have some liberties of using different German noble hops, but having that spicy, sometimes peppery, minty kind of hop flavor, or floral perfumey is classic for a lot of German noble hops. So I'm getting that kind of that spicy, herbal, floral note to it. But you definitely can smell some of the wheat, not the wheat, but the sweetness from the malt. Okay? Okay, so anyway, let's take another look at it before I take a swig, and I'm sure I'll have pictures. Yeah, wow, this is delicious. You get that sweetness of the malt right up front. The medium carbonation, which is classic, and then, yeah, and this is the prototype of the style in the world, okay? This and Fru and probably a few others that you can't get, but Gaffel and Fru and some of your local beer stores you should be able to get. And again, don't be afraid of trying it at your local microbrewery when they see Kolsch style up there. You get that spiciness, floral, herbal, also on the palate. Low to medium body, no alcoholic warmth here. Very smooth though. Very easy drinking. You could tell. Very well attenuated. Remember, attenuation is when the yeast act on the dissolved sugars. If they eat a lot of them, it dries the beer out a little bit. So it's a little bit of a drier beer than something like, say, a Bock beer, which has a lower attenuation, which is the yeast that leaves behind a lot of sugars, which is sweeter. So it's a little, sometimes cloyingly sweet. This is crisp, has enough hop bitterness, kind of a low to moderate bitterness. Like I said, I believe it's 18 to 30 IBUs, but very nice. Some of the esters from the yeast, you may get that little bit of that slight pear apple kind of bite to it. But I mean, I could sit here and drink, I hate to admit it, but I could probably sit here and drink a lot of these because they're just so easy to consume. Okay. But you can see this, if you look at someone's glass, you would think they were drinking a Budweiser, Bud Light, Miller, or something like that. But this is nothing like that, okay? But it is a nice beer. If you are in that style and you want to kind of branch out a little bit, I would look for the Kolsch style of beer, Kolsch. Sometimes you'll see it with the little, I don't know, my German speakers would tell me those little dots over the O. You'll see, but this is delicious. I can't give anything less than A+ for this beer. And, it's easy drinking and, so great patio beer, barbecue, pizzas, thirst quenching type of things, light fish dishes that this would be great for. But again, this is classic. I really enjoy this. I've had this before, never did a video on this. So anyway, guys, just a little bit about the style Kolsch. The What Is style was today from Cologne, Germany. It's an appellation. Like I said, they got the way that they do the beer service with the coaster and the nicks. And I've been to Germany. I haven't been to Cologne. I wish I did. Remember, Dusseldorf they're known for their alt beer, which I've done a video. Check that out on Beer Dissection or What Is style. I discussed that. But if you definitely are a light beer drinker, try this out because it's definitely have a lot more flavor malt profile. I don't want to compare this to American lagers or things like that. Has less bitterness than Pilsner, not as much floral aroma and spicy aroma as a lot of Pilsners or Czech premium pale lagers, but enough. But definitely, a maltier side of beer with just a little bit of touch of the hops. Keeps us very easy drinking as well as the attenuation of it. So anyway, guys, Kolsch, What Is style today. Gaffel Kolsch, fantastic. I would try that out if you see it at your local beer store. Okay, till the next video, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.